It is the dawn of the second century for America's national parks. Science-based stewardship in national parks is enhanced via partnerships with education and research organizations, including a network of so-called research learning centers across the country.
One of the most amazing things about the research learning centers is the ability to leverage experiences. So while I may not be a scientist, I can find a scientist and put them together with a classroom. And when they come together and they work together, the synergy of that relationship is much bigger than anything I could do as a park ranger.
The resident research learning center at Acadia National Park is Schoodic Institute, an independent nonprofit organization located on the Schoodic Peninsula section of the park. The institute is committed to guiding present and future generations to greater understanding and appreciation of Acadia National Park. Mark Berry leads Schoodic Institute. An early experience in Yellowstone National Park helped him understand the power of parks to inspire visitors about nature, and inspired Mark to pursue a career in science, education, and conservation.
This is the largest research learning center in that network, but all of them share an aspect of being a public-private partnership that attracts important research and connects it to education and to resource management.
The coming and going of tides creates a special shoreline ecosystem that is teeming with life and supportive of ocean health. When the massive 10-foot high tides at Acadia National Park recede, vast intertidal zones at low tide can become fascinating classrooms for learning about creatures there. We followed Ranger Kate Petrie to explore intertidal ecosystems with students from New Jersey studying at the Schoodic Institute. Natural landscapes inspired her interest in parks at an early age, and she's enthusiastic about sharing these experiences.
Well, this morning we brought students out into the intertidal zone to look at the creatures that live between high and low tide and learn about the zonation from the black spray zone down through brown algae and rockweeds into the red algae zone, and to do a little bit of a population survey, looking at the different species that thrive at different depths. When we first got out there, they almost seemed content to sit on the rocks and watch me do the tide pooling for them. And I'm like, that's not gonna wash, guys. You need to get out here in it. And as soon as I gave them permission to do that, get their shoes wet, you see the excitement start to grow, and you start to hear them say things to each other. And may not be using scientific terms, but the excitement is really, lighting them up, and they're getting more into it.
That is so cool. That's like her fifth crab.
They have a lot of questions about how things survive, the names of different organisms, and what they eat, and they start to get into the adaptations and even the community structure in some cases. Talking a little bit about what scientists monitor, and posing questions like, how many barnacles are there on the Maine coast? And start talking about random sampling and research methods. We do spend a good deal of time giving them free time so that they can find creatures in the tide pools. For example, today's group's high school students who had never had the opportunity to be on a rocky shore and go tide pooling.
A crab with tribal print. He's so cute. And he's just like, oh my God, Mia! Oh my God!
Oh, that one's really cool.
Isn't he sick?
They were quite impressed with some of the blue mussels and how they hang on to the rocks even, with their byssal threads and the way that they attach with an epoxy that solidifies underwater. Every year we have groups of kids who have never seen the ocean, even some Maine children who haven't seen the ocean.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
And it's a chance to expose them to the diversity of resources that we have here so that they can appreciate the diversity of both national parks and the resources in their own backyard.
You'd be waist deep in water if you were still there.
And we were there before. We were just there.
A little bit. We're like right there.
We're like in the moment. And all the tiny pools are gone too. That's really cool.
I think that it's easier to learn when you're actually doing it, because when you're in class it's like so boring and you can't focus. But this makes me want to, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think this is so much more interesting and it's so much more effective because we're actually able to handle everything and explore what we're learning about.
A real-world experience helps children engage on many levels and carries through for a lot longer than we would expect. I hear back from teachers who believe that some of the children have been changed forever by having an experience in the natural world.
What will the future bring for America's national parks at this dawn of a new century? Perhaps Abraham Lincoln had the right perspective when he said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it."